I'm Warren Rogers. I'm a safety administrator for Connecticut Light and Power. Now, there is a need. There is a need for a set of guidelines for emergency workers to follow in an emergency involving electricity to minimize their chances of injury or even worse. Now, these guidelines were developed from experiences gathered from our own utility workers and the men and women of the fire, police, and rescue that risk their lives every day to serve, protect, and save.
The awesome power of electricity. Unbridled in nature, it is both beautiful and destructive. Harnessed, it is one of our most widely used forms of energy. But it is a force that must be respected.
My first thought was I had dozed off and slid about halfway down the pole because, you're comfortable up there. You've been up there working like I have, 7 years. And I thought I had what they call burned the pole. Had splinters everywhere, and needed some help. And so as I reached for my telephone to call for some help to come help me get off the pole, I started noticing different injuries, finger gone, right hand, and different smells and aromas of the burnt flesh, and that's when I realized that something was hot and I was in a whole lot of trouble. It seemed like everywhere there was any contact, skin to skin, like your armpits or your elbows or anything like that, it exited there and left exit holes, and then it went across my chest, through my heart, and down, blew out in my right knee. And then as it exited my right hand, that's what actually took the finger off my right hand. If you just stop and think, just a few seconds can prevent something from happening to you that's going to last a lifetime.
As a first responder, you're there to help the people who need help. You're going to turn yourself into someone else who needs help?
Everybody's heart is in the right place. First responders' hearts are always in the right place. Civilians trying to help people, their hearts are always in the right place. But sometimes you got to put your heart aside and think about it before you approach that area.
Until we let them know, they should never, ever assume that those wires are dead.
Call us. That's our job.
It's just common sense. You have to look over the general scene and see if everything is safe before you even approach.
There's no turning back. It's not like you're working in an office. When you make a mistake on a piece of paper, you can just erase it with a pencil. There is no forgiveness.
When you think you're gonna do something for a split second, anybody, I'm just gonna do this, I'm just gonna do that. That could be it. Lights out.
That's molten aluminum, 1,200 degrees. The electricity that melted it, 35,000 volts. It'll burn anything it comes in contact with. It'll even turn sand into glass.
20 years experience, didn't see the wire, walked right into it, died.
You gotta believe me, the car was hot, the guardrails were hot, even the painted lines on the road were hot. The electricity was running through everything.
The instinct of any emergency worker is to act aggressively and quickly to prevent injury, loss of life, and loss of property. In the case of an emergency that involves utility lines and power equipment, whether it's lines downed by wind or ice, a vehicle accident, or incidental contact, it is important to think before you act. Whether you are police or fire rescue personnel, a contractor, or simply a passerby, the following guidelines can save your life and the lives of others. Upon arriving at the scene, step back and take a look at the big picture. Keep your distance from all potential power sources. As a general rule, park or stand at least one pole away from any accident involving electricity. Carefully assess the situation to determine what potential hazards exist and how you can keep yourself, the victims and others safe from further harm. As a first responder, you are in the unique position of being able to convey important pieces of information to people around you. You are specifically looking for downed lines and damaged equipment. If you are on the scene as a result of being dispatched by 911, the next step is to verify that the power company has been notified and that they are on their way. Otherwise, call 911 and be sure to request that the power company be notified.
504, I'm 1020 through the accident. I got a car versus telephone pole. I have live wires on the car, party inside, roll fire, rescue, and contact Connecticut Light and Power to disconnect the electricity.
No further action should be taken until the power company has verified that the scene is safe and free of live power. Regardless of what you've been trained or otherwise instructed to do, do not touch power lines or power equipment. Wires may not appear dangerous, but today a live line can look identical to a dead line and carry many times the voltage it used to.
With some of the fire departments, they have some guys who's been around a long time, and they may have tricks of the trade for moving wires out of the road that they were able to get away with because it was lower voltage, and they've tried to pass these tricks on to some of the new guys that have come along. Well, we could have come through 2 weeks ago, a month ago, and upgraded these to now we're looking at 23,000 volt wires. And they tried those same type of tricks with a piece of PVC or a piece of rope. 23,000 is going to eat them up. They will not survive that.
You can't take shortcuts of any way, shape, or form, no matter how many times you've taken them in the past and got away with it. You can't do it because eventually they will catch up to you.
Our linemen and our troubleshooters, they're gonna make it safe for everybody else in that area. You have to be patient. You have to allow these people to get there and make it safe and communicate with you that it's safe to do this.
As an emergency worker, it is not essential that you become an expert in electric power. That is the job of power company employees who have the proper tools, knowledge, and protective apparel to help them deal with power in emergency situations. While the basic properties of electricity have not changed, the incidence and prevalence of electrically powered appliances and equipment and the infrastructure needed to provide that power has grown tremendously. In addition, the voltages on that infrastructure have increased considerably over the last several years. So here are a few very important concepts that will help you understand how to avoid hazardous situations. First, just like light, electricity travels at 186,000 miles per second. It's faster than you can react to, so once a strong current has engaged you, it is too late. Second, almost anything can be a conductor of electricity. Copper wire, for example, offers minimal resistance, so it's a good conductor. Water is a good conductor, and since your body is mostly water and contains many salts and minerals, you are an excellent conductor of electricity. Third, electricity will flow in a complete circuit. There can be electric current only when there exists a continuous path of conductive material, providing a conduit for electricity to travel through. And electricity is always seeking a return path to Earth. You can become part of that circuit by touching an energized line or a conductive object touching an energized line, including the ground you're standing on. Like ripples on the surface of a pond, there are rings of voltage around the conductor. For a person walking towards an energized wire on the ground, or an object attached to or otherwise in contact with the ground, they are placing themselves in a potentially hazardous situation. As you walk toward the conductor, your leading leg will be in a higher potential ring than the leg behind it. Because you now have one foot in one potential and the other foot in a different potential, the electric current, seeking to complete the circuit, now flows through your body and can injure or kill you. And fourth, because of our increased need for power, the same lines that used to carry 4,800 volts now carry many more times that power. which means that in the past you may have gotten away with dislodging downed power lines by using a rope, a branch, or other object, or you may have tried kicking the line. These techniques will not work and are not acceptable practices today and for the future. As far as equipment goes, there are some basics here as well. First, at the top of the pole is the primary wire or wires. These lines carry electrical current operating at voltages up to 27,600 volts. Below the primary wires may be other power or utility lines. A common misconception to note here is that people assume that these wires are insulated. They are not. The black coating on the wire is there simply to keep contaminants away from the conductive metal cabling. It is not like the insulated wires found in your home. In the event of any downed wires, the rule of thumb is to always assume the worst. A primary line is down. You simply cannot be certain that the wire you see is not somehow electrically charged. Remember, there is no immediate discernible difference between a live wire and a dead wire. Next, transformers, which can be small and mounted on poles, or larger and mounted on a concrete pad, or even placed underground, step the voltage down so that it can be used in our everyday lives. Under certain circumstances, they can catch fire and possibly explode. In addition, some transformers may contain dangerous chemicals such as PCBs. For this reason, you must contact the utility company if there's a leak and never take action that could spread a spill. Again, stop and assess the situation. If there are power lines or other power equipment involved, you must notify the power company immediately and resist the urge to rush in. If the fire is within or near the fenced-in area of a substation, take no action before consulting the power company. And never use water or fire suppression chemicals without the authorization of the power company.
And it's only, frankly, by the grace of God that some of these people haven't been killed, but when they tell me what they've done in some of these situations.
Because of the work they do, contractors face an increased risk of an accidental contact with energized lines. Look overhead for power lines. If there's a potential risk, a call to the power company to describe your plans is the best first step. If you are going to excavate, consider the potential for underground power lines. The Call Before You Dig program locates underground facilities for you and allows you to stay safe while digging. By calling 811 or 1-800-922-4455, you will automatically be connected to the Call Before You Dig hotline here in Connecticut. Planning is essential to safe digging, especially because you must call at least 2 full working days before you intend to dig. Then utilities have 2 full working days to come out and mark their facilities. If you are a contractor working near overhead lines, keep these guidelines in mind. Keep your distance from power lines, utility crews, and their equipment. Use barriers where appropriate. Make sure cranes and booms are grounded. Call the power company to assist in determining preventive measures, including covering or moving lines. Should an accident occur and you find yourself trapped in a vehicle that you think may be electrically charged either by downed lines or through underground excavation, use this procedure to evacuate your vehicle and avoid injury due to step potential. If possible, notify 911 and your dispatch center of the possibility of an accident involving electricity. Be sure to request that the power company be notified as well.
Can you have the power company respond to my scene?
Stay in your vehicle. Do not open the doors. Do not touch any part of the exterior. If you must exit the vehicle, as in the case of a fire or other impending danger, follow these rules. Jump out without touching any part of the vehicle. Then shuffle or hop away with your feet together and arms close to your body. When working around the outside of a home or business, call the power company to cover or de-energize service wires or other lines which may be close to work areas. If using ladders near overhead lines, be sure they are made of non-conductive material and maintain appropriate clearances from a primary wire.
Electricity is invisible, and it will kill you if you make contact with it.
Don't think you know anything. You know what they say about assuming. Some mother of all screw-ups. You don't assume nothing.
And we never think about the consequences. And we never think it's ever going to happen to us. Accidents steal. They steal the most precious things in your life, and they never give them back. It's devastating. It's just devastating.
It takes only a moment for disaster to strike, to change your life and the lives of the people around you forever.